Intro. Yeah. Okay, that was my last yawn, honest.
Welcome to AT Banter, the podcast where we discuss anything and everything regarding the world of assistive technology. With our hosts, Steve Barkley, Rob Minot, and Ryan Fleury. Now, let's banter.
Hey, and welcome to this week's episode of AT Banter. We are wide-eyed and bushy-tailed here.
Not.
I am Rob Minot, and today I am joined by Steve Barkley.
Zzz.
Or
And-
Sleepy. We'll call him Sleepy.
And
And
whose voice you just heard,
da 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 da.
Ryan Fleury.
Howdy.
Who is wide awake
Yeah, clearly.
and positively perky?
That's right.
It is early for us on a Wednesday morning. And yeah, we're excited. We're here.
Woo.
Have we ever recorded this early before?
Well, I mean,
think
when
so.
we actually had jobs.
I don't think even then we recorded that
Actually,
early.
yeah, no, 9 o'clock is pretty
Molly Wong
kinda
was pretty early, wasn't she?
Yeah, I feel like she was maybe 10.
Maybe.
'Cause I think it was like 6 or 7 for her in the evening when we...
Yeah.
Yeah, at least time for the coffee to kick in. Right? I have a question. Why can't England work on a reasonable time?
Yeah, I don't know. They have that Greenwich...
Well, I mean, it's right there in the name, Greenwich Mean Time. That's
Yeah.
a mean time to be up.
That's right. Yeah, we're here. We are talking to Neil Milliken today, who is the co-founder of a little thing called AXSChat, which is a Twitter chat that's weekly that features all kinds of good stuff about inclusion and accessibility. And we've been wanting to talk to these guys for a while because it's a really, really great Twitter chat. It's really informative, and they have some really great guests. We kind of looked to them for inspiration when we first started, so we're kind of excited to be talking to them.
There are peers.
Yeah,
There
exactly.
There are inspiration.
Pulling out the Chicago mega hits from the 80s.
Great time.
Good times. Yeah, so, and actually I guess this is the first kind of peer type conversation that we've had. We were generally talking to people in the industry, but we haven't really talked to any podcasters.
Working on it.
Yeah, we're working on it. It'll be interesting to get their take and to see, what challenges they have putting the Twitter chat together and how they started, why they started. So, anyways, how was the week?
Pretty uneventful.
So far, so good.
Yeah.
Pretty
Yeah.
quiet.
I got to play with Dolphin Supernova yesterday.
Oh, yay.
Yeah, it's very exciting.
And your thoughts?
It's actually remarkably good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm quite impressed.
Hmm.
It's an excellent large print program
Cool.
with speech output.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Nice.
yep, I quite like it. And it's a little bit cheaper than ZoomText too, I believe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See, doesn't that make you feel silly? All these years, you I mean, I was looking at the site as well earlier in the week, and I'm betting that they've improved it a lot over the past year or two.
I can't even remember the last time that I looked at that software. I mean, it's been a long time, and probably I should have paid more attention to it. But we always had ZoomText and Magic around, and why did we need another one? But now that ZoomText and Magic are under the same roof, I think it's important that there's some competition out there in the marketplace.
Absolutely,
Choice is good.
Yep, absolutely.
because they have. I mean, they've structured it exactly like ZoomText, where they have a magnifier, a screen reader with speech, or sorry, a magnifier with speech, and then a magnifier and screen reader.
Right.
So very much like ZoomText and ZoomText Fusion.
Well, they were doing it first, so I mean.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, they were doing that long before ZoomText Fusion ever came around.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Well, Ryan, you might have to get well versed with their screen reader.
We shall see.
Yeah.
So what else is going on? What have you guys been up to?
Absolutely nothing.
Really? You're not even watching anything on Netflix?
Well, I'm still working my way through 13 Reasons Why.
Oh, really?
It's really good.
Is it?
Yeah, it's really good.
I don't know. It looks a little teenagey for me.
It is, but it's interesting. It's an interesting take on this one girl's life and the repercussions your actions have on other people. It's interesting. Have you watched the OA yet?
No.
No, that's another good one.
Yeah, I have to write that down. OA.
OA.
How do you spell that?
Oh, BuzzClip. I got to play with BuzzClip.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
You mean you actually got one?
I did.
I got one, yeah. They sent me one to try out,
Yeah.
and Ryan got to play with it.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What'd you think?
It works. You know, it's actually got pretty good distance detection. So Steve put his hand kind of up over my head, and it actually detected his hand before it actually was actually on my head.
Really?
He could feel the punch coming.
That's right. You know, my only thing is I wish it would vibrate it a little bit harder because I had it on the outside of my jacket last week when it was raining. So I could still feel the sensation, but a little bit stronger vibration would have been nice. But no, it worked pretty well. Very small, portable.
Nice.
Yeah.
Means we got to get it on the site. Yeah, well, send it over. We'll get it up.
Yeah.
Very cool. Very, very cool. Well, there you go. You know.
Toys.
Okay, let's go ahead and give Neil a call and bring him on.
Alrighty.
So, hi, Neil. It's Ryan, Rob, and Steve here with you today.
Hello there.
Hello.
Howdy.
Thanks so much for joining us, incidentally.
Oh no, my pleasure. It's a beautiful day. I'm been stuck on conference calls all day.
Oh, those are the best days. And now you get to do another one.
Yay.
So what
My
time
dog's
is it?
not happy.
It's what, about 4 o'clock there?
No, it's 5.
5.
Oh, geez.
So my dog's not happy. He's like, I want to go out. I have lampposts to cock my leg against, flowers to sniff.
Excellent.
Well, yeah, we appreciate you burning a little bit of midnight oil for us.
Okay, no problems.
So we've never talked to any other podcasters, so we just kind of started up in the dark and have just sort of muddled our way through 40.
This is 47, I think.
47 episodes. So
Okay, that's impressive. That's staying power.
well, we try.
Almost a year, so.
Yeah, Ryan keeps pulling out the guests on us, so as long as he keeps doing that, we're in good shape.
Yeah, well, I mean, we've wanted to talk to you actually for quite a while. Your Twitter chat was actually one of the inspirations for us to actually start up. It was one of the early ones that, you know, when we had the idea for the podcast and we started looking around as to what else was out there. You know, your show was sort of top of the list. So it's pretty exciting for us to talk to you.
Thank you. We've been quite blown away by just the response that we've had to AXSChat. We started in, I think it was November 2014.
Wow.
We've not missed a week.
Wow.
Which is either insanity or dedication, one of the two. So yeah, but we've got a good team between the three of us, and some backup from you know other people as well. But essentially we are, you know, just doing it in our spare time, doing it because it's a passion. And yeah, we're on 100+ episodes now, so we've got quite a video archive now. I think it's you know over 60 hours of video interviews, which is some going. You know, I can bore people forever. You know, it's a week and a half worth of video footage that I can, you come for work for me, sit down and watch a week and a half worth of video of me.
You can officially be binge watched.
Yeah,
That's right.
yeah. You come out, 300 pounds heavier.
Well, for those people who might not be familiar with the show, can you just give us a quick rundown of what AXSChat is?
Yeah. Okay. So it's It's basically a video interview, and then followed up by a Twitter chat. So we spend about half an hour talking to people on the topic of accessibility and inclusion and broad sort of issues around diversity as well. And then we follow that up by a Q&A on Twitter, and it's structured in such a way that not only does the guest reply to the answers, replies to the questions, but the community at large does as well. So everyone participates, and that's one of the reasons I think that we've been successful is people really do get engaged. And so in the space of about an hour to an hour and a half, because it actually sort of has quite a long tail, maybe 2 hours sometimes, midnight on occasions. We get between 3,000 and 6,000 tweets, and on a really super bumper night, 9,000 within the space of an hour or two, which is a huge volume. It makes us largest Twitter chat in Europe on any topic. So it's not just we're not the largest Twitter chat on accessibility. We're the largest on any topic in Europe, and top 2 or 3 globally. So that's gratifying, and it also is a really good sign to how engaged people are on this topic, on access and inclusion issues. And what we also find really gratifying is the fact that we're building a community of people across the globe, across national boundaries, and also across the boundaries of different disability groups, because that's something that having come from an accessibility background and spent nearly 20 years working in the field, it's quite segmented. So one of the things that we really wanted to do was actually break out of those kind of silos where, we only talk about screen reader users, or we're only interested in audio description. Actually, we're interested in all of it, and we think you could all learn from each other. So let's get online and have a good chat, and that's what we've been doing for the last 2.5 years, and we learn something every week.
You'll bet. And have you always used Twitter as the platform?
Yes, yeah. So I've been using Twitter since 2008, 2009. So I'm very comfortable with it as a platform. I've found it to be the most sociable and conversationable of the social networks, and really it facilitates those conversations far better than some of the other social networks, and it's open.
Right.
And that was the thing. We wanted something that has a really big ripple effect. So we know that a lot of people aren't very comfortable having conversations about disability, but that they will watch, that they will read stuff. So by having these conversations on Twitter and posting stuff on YouTube, they're open to everyone. It's not like a Facebook where it's a closed group, or LinkedIn where you have a network where you have to approve people.
Right.
Anyone can follow me. If they're mad enough, they can follow me. And that's the point. We want it to be very open, and so that's why we chose Twitter. It was also originally a very accessible medium because it was text only. Obviously, as they've added more and more features, they've also added challenges. So they've tried to address some of them, and they've gone some way to doing that with things like image description, etc. Although it's not turned on by default, so you have to know about it in order to and want to do it in order to describe your images, and you can't do it in one of their own tools, TweetDeck, for example.
Right.
So it's imperfect, but there are ways around it, and we still find it to be the best way of having a rapid fire group conversation with random people all around the world. So that's why we chose Twitter.
So I'm just kind of blown away because I thought Twitter was only for arguing with Trump supporters.
Well, that's an evening habit. And yes, I have been called a snowflake. I wear it as a badge of pride.
And what was the response early on? Like that, I mean, those audience numbers are really impressive. Was it a long, slow road to build to that?
No. So yeah, I mean, obviously the numbers are cumulative, but effectively within a week or two of starting, we were getting 2,000 tweets within the hour. And some of that was because Antonio, who works with me, had been engaged in other Twitter chats. So he had been engaged in something called T-Chat, which was around the workplace and sort of HR type trends. And so he'd observed how it worked and he understood the mechanics of it. And the reason he'd approached me and said, look, I'd like to do something like this. And I was keen. I wanted to get the message out there for accessibility for the work we were doing within our organization. And he'd also seen Deborah Rue, who was our other partner, doing stuff. And I knew Deborah from my background in accessibility, so I approached her, and she'd got a big social media presence, and so had Antonio. I'm the minnow of the social media accounts compared to them. I think I have about 10% of their number of followers. I've got about 12,000. I think they're all in the sort of, I think, oh goodness knows, Deborah's about 160,000 followers or something ridiculous.
Wow.
And Antonio's 100,000 plus.
Wow.
But so as a result, we were able to use that large group of followers and the influence that we had, because even though I've got less, what we did have was people that were engaged with us.
Right.
And that's another reason why I'm kind of sticking with Twitter, because I've invested in it in a long time. I've built up a network,
right?
And we've got people that have engaged with us. You shift from one platform to another, you will lose some of those people,
right?
Maybe all of them. There's a really good-looking new network that's popped up called Mastodon, which seems to be addressing loads of the issues that Twitter users and frustrations that Twitter users have. But would I want to switch networks? Well, not really, because the switching costs are so high. I'd have to try and persuade 12,000 people to all download Mastodon and find me again.
Right.
So that's another reason why we're on that particular network. Now we may well expand to other channels at some point, but I don't think we'll, unless Jack and his team do something terrible or they finally burn through all of their cash, I don't think we'll be leaving Twitter anytime soon.
Right. And were you guys shocked at the reaction that you got, or did you kind of have an idea that there was a pretty big appetite for this type of show?
So we thought that there was an appetite. We thought that we could do something on over a period of time that could get to a similar kind of scale to the thing that Antonio had been involved in before. It's dwarfed it since then, which has surprised us. I think that just the sheer enthusiasm of the people that participate is really what makes a difference. Because what we're finding is that even sometimes though we have smaller numbers, what we end up with is a much bigger spread, or what you would think of is in terms of impressions. The message just goes out there because people are sharing it,
right,
and really engaged. So what you find when I participate in other chats, because I'm sad and addicted to Twitter, and get a bit of a twitch whenever I'm parted from my mobile phone. So what you see is that people dip in and dip out. What we tend to see with things like AXSChat is people are sticking in there, and they're I don't get much of a holiday because I might be. I remember I was at Christmas time people were pinging me and I was sort of trying to enjoy my mojitos on the holiday, the hotel, on the beach, and they're going, questions haven't been posted yet. Give me a break, guys. It's Christmas.
Yeah, really.
Where are the questions for AXSChat?
Well, tell us a little bit about, when you guys sat down and developed it, what was the goal of the show, and has that evolved or changed at all over the years?
Okay, so, the goal was really around raising awareness and bringing people together and building community, and that's still the same. So we do believe we're doing a good job of creating awareness, and we're also wanted to highlight industry as well, because we feel, particularly working for a large company. I work for a really large company. We've got 100,000 employees. We're in 72 different countries, and most large companies, are afraid of talking about disability.
Right. So
we wanted to have a platform where they could feel comfortable and safe to talk about it, where we wanted to engage in positive conversations. We recognize that no one's perfect. A lot of these companies aren't fully accessible, but they're making efforts, and we ought to be applauding those efforts rather than beating them on the head saying, aren't you crap, you haven't done this.
Right.
Well, what about the stuff that they have done? Let's use more carrot. I'm not here for the stick. I think that's what governments can do. But actually, the industry want to see the good stories, and we wanted to create a forum where they could come and talk about their stuff, which would then have a network effect, because when one large organization sees the positive outcome of talking about the work that they're doing, then maybe another will. And what that does is it opens up and creates an environment where people are beginning to feel happier to talk about it in the open. We're members, my organization is members, and I contribute to a thing called the Business Disability Forum in the UK. And there are a lot of large companies that are signed up in there, and a lot of them will talk in private. But we want them to talk in public.
Right.
Because then people know, actually, these guys are good potential employers. Maybe they're doing more than I realize. Maybe I could have a job with them. Maybe I can buy their products. I never knew that, all of this stuff was audio described, or that there's a special customer service line that can help me get it all set up.
Right.
Yeah. No one told me, because it's all hidden. So let's get it out in the open. So that's something that we're continuing to do. We're continuing to encourage companies to do that. We're hopefully going to engage more deeply with some of them. Some of them are actively supporting us, and we'd like to expand. So we're not planning to take over the world or anything like that. We're not planning to be the next Facebook, but we do intend to grow the community, engage in more channels, and actually turn up live to more events. So in the last week or so, we've been to Sweden. We actually met for the first time. So we've been collaborating for 2.5 years.
Wow.
And we've done it all virtually.
Wow.
So there'd never been a point where all three of us were in the same room at the same time. So that was the first time we'd done that, and we were live tweeting an accessibility conference, and so we're facilitating conferences, helping them spread the word. We've done the Funka conference in Stockholm twice now. First time I did it myself. This time all three of us were there, which was great. And I also went to Brazil last year to the Inclusion Summit for the International Paralympic Committee. So AXSChat was the official social media partner.
Wow.
For that. So that was pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Got to meet some amazing people. And we want to continue just getting out there, opening up hopefully creating more forums for people to discuss stuff and share stuff. One of the most exciting things for me is actually seeing people make connections as a result of what we're doing, and projects starting, and side projects being started on the back of people having conversations through AXSChat, which is that for me is really exciting, because it's doing exactly what we intended, which is to bring people together, to act as a catalyst.
Right.
We can't do everything ourselves, but we can act as catalysts, and we can facilitate people to take action and take ownership for themselves. And we're seeing that, and that's really exciting.
So can you give us an idea of like what kind of guests do you generally have on the show? Is it mainly, companies, or do you talk to individuals, or?
It's wide ranging. So we do talk to companies. We've had Barclays Bank on. We've had Microsoft. We've had Nuance, the guys that make Dragon and
right.
OmniPage, etc. We've also had actors on. So we've had, I don't know whether you guys watch Sons of Anarchy.
Yep.
We had Kurt Yeager, who played Jake the Peg.
Oh, really? Oh, wow.
Yeah. We had little Kieran Shah, who's been in The Hobbit and Star Wars, and is the world's smallest stuntman. We've had Angel Jufria, who is a lady with a bionic arm, and has also been in a number of movies. So it is wide ranging. We talk to people that are developing technology. We had Jim Fruchterman on. He runs Benetech,
right,
which is a really interesting company that started in the sort of low vision space, looking and blindness space, looking at scanning and reading machines, etc. But they do amazing stuff now, and also sort of not just in the accessibility world, but in the sort of social inclusion space, and looking at all kinds of research work. So he was an amazing guest. People from government, we've had Lord Holmes of Richmond, who's sat in the House of Lords, runs the disability part of the Equality and Human Rights Commission. People from the United Nations. It's a broad bunch.
Now, do you find that people approach you these days, or are you guys still like, you sit down together and you come up with some ideas of people who you want to approach, or how does that work?
It's a mixture. We do get approached. We don't really have too much of a problem finding guests. That's for sure. What we do want to do is try and keep it fresh and interesting. We don't want to repeat the same topic all the time.
Right.
We have had a number of repeat guests, not many. The first one was Ian Hamilton, because he's done stuff on accessible gaming and game accessibility, and then he brought in the people from Xbox and Turtle Rock games. So that was a really engaging topic. People really interested in games. So and they've moved so much in the space of sort of 15, 16 months that it was worth revisiting. But we're not short of topics. It's such a broad church as well, because we're very broad focused, that we really don't find it too hard to find people that we think are interesting, and then we just approach them.
Right.
We're pretty brazen about it.
Well, I mean, and I know from our experience, I mean, we're kind of in the boat where we sort of we're still chasing people for the most part. We sit down and we sort of think about, this person will make a great guest. Let's reach out to them. But in our experience, we find that really all it usually takes is just asking the question, just asking, and we've never been really turned down. I mean, usually the people that we approach are more than happy to talk about whatever they're doing.
Yeah, it's rare to get turned down. Sometimes we're a little ambitious. So,
yep.
But equally, that sometimes that pays off. We had the chief HR officer for Adecco on a few weeks back. They're a massive organization. I think they find jobs for 700,000 people,
right,
or something ridiculous. Wow. So they were happy to come on.
Yep.
And yes, if you ask nicely, explain what it is, then most people like to say yes. What we found is actually long lead times help.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
We tend to book 3-4 months in advance, and we give a range of slots. And we, patience is a virtue, really. It's like, yes, we want these people on. We'll wait.
Right.
So that's how we do it, and we've gone from, and I think that's the difference between now and the beginning was, yes, every week we were scrabbling around trying to phone up our friends and find people. And now it's a case of, well, we've got a schedule, and
right.
Here's how we roll. You get an email with all of the details, and away you go.
Right.
And we have a tracker and everything else. So it's like it's a fairly well-oiled machine now. We've done it 100 and odd times.
Yeah.
It's just, we're not really changing the formula that much.
Right. And using the Twitty, using the Twitter platform and having a video-based show, I mean, what are some of the challenges that you guys find that maybe you that happened early on, or even that still, rise up and that you have to sort of overcome?
Well, obviously there's the challenge of captioning all of that video.
Right.
That's an effort. The fact that the platforms that you're using to record the video remotely are somewhat flaky.
Yep.
The quality of our video is not broadcast quality always. Connections play a part in that. Skype falling over, Google Hangouts refusing to let non-Chrome people onto the Hangout can play a part too. So technology does definitely try and disrupt things, but and then people not understanding the format of the Twitter chat and sort of just answering all 6 questions in the first 5 minutes. Or scheduling them and not realizing they were in the wrong time zone, and then them all going out at some weird hour of the night. So yeah, I mean, things do go wrong, but you just have to roll with it, really.
Right. Yeah. Technology can rear its ugly head, for sure. Even with us, has there ever been a show where you've just had to cancel altogether just because of technical issues?
Oh, well, we've had to abandon video, but we've managed to sort of always salvage the audio recording. Oh, no, there was one early days. Yeah, we had to redo it. We had to redo the recording. It was like, yeah, this bummed out. Here's the questions. Let's do the Twitter chat, and we'll record a video later on. It's happened once, which it's not too bad given how many we've done.
Mm-hmm.
Now you mentioned...
Which reminds me, did you hit the record button, Rob?
Yeah, yes, I hit the record button.
I hope so.
No, that's why I checked earlier. I did think, oh, hey, did I hit the record button? Luckily, we haven't done that yet.
Yet. It'll happen.
It will. You mentioned your co-hosts and I guess the co-founders of AXSChat. Is that everybody on the team, or do you have sort of more helpers that help in the background as well now?
Emily, who works for Deborah, helps us with our scheduling, and the guys in my team take it in turns to help out with the captioning. But that's it. It's not a big team.
Right.
It's all part-time, it's all voluntary, and we'd like to get to a stage where we can actually pay for people to do some of this stuff. So we're hoping to be able to get a few sponsors to help sort of pay for that, because actually, the guys working for me are probably pretty sick of captioning stuff.
Right.
Yeah, it's good learning for them when they were doing their apprenticeships, etc. But they've got day jobs to be doing as well, so we appreciate that. And it's difficult. It's finding a balance. We all actually put in quite long hours on this. I know I probably put 15, 20 hours a week effort into all of the stuff that surrounds it. Not just doing the Twitter chat, but all of the sort of admin and the coordination and the maintaining the Twitter accounts and doing the promotional stuff, and just it all adds up, even if it's sort of stolen moments. So it's quite an effort.
I mean, do you find that scheduling is sometimes a challenge? I mean, because you are talking to people a lot of times that are in different time zones, and then you have to coordinate with your co-hosts in terms of their schedule. Can it be pretty tricky?
We have fixed times.
Oh, okay.
So we have a fixed time where we do the interview, and we have a fixed time for the Twitter chat, and they don't move.
Oh, good.
Apart from when the time zones change and the clocks go forward, and then all hell breaks loose when North America goes forward before Europe, and and it gets messy then. But essentially we have fixed times, and what we do is we give people a huge window months in advance so that they can find a day when that works for them. Which is fine unless you happen to be in Southeast Asia, in which case it's always going to be in the middle of the night.
That's right.
But we chose the time that we did for our Twitter chat because most of the English-speaking world was going to be awake.
Right.
So it's 8 p.m. at London time, which is 12 noon on the Pacific coast, 3 p.m. in the East Coast, and early morning in Australia.
Right, sort of the sweet spot.
Yeah, so it's as close to the sweet spot as we could get. So, and from my point of view, it's outside of working hours, and I've been fed, the dog's been walked. I can be sat down and have some time to do it. Whereas if we tried to do it earlier, it's pretty difficult. People either can do it when they're sat at their desk, but that early evening spot is when people are up and moving about. They're either commuting, or it's family time, or they need food or whatever. So we put in quite a lot of thought to the timing of it, and then we've just stuck with it rigidly.
What's your background with assistive technology? How did you get into the field?
I've been working in assistive technology since the turn of the millennia. I started working for a small company in Cambridge called eAssist that specialized in technology for dyslexia. Dyslexia runs in my family. I'm dyslexic. Members of my family are dyslexic. And so I was interested in it. I'd previously worked as a product manager in the music and video export business, totally different.
Right.
Doing online sales of CDs and videos and stuff like that. So really very different, but I was interested in the technology, and went there for a couple of weeks project work, and ended up staying for 8 or 9 years, trying out and building speech recognition systems and delivering services to people. Then I ended up moving to Siemens to deliver services to the BBC around accessibility, and grew the practice that I run now from that point. Siemens IT got bought by Atos, and so now I'm head of accessibility at Atos, which is a European IT company, but we do have operations in North America, about 12,000 people, I think. It's growing quite rapidly.
And you might have already kind of answered this with some of the guests that you've had on, but what's your personal sort of favorite moment of hosting the show that's happened, or most thrilling?
Oh, Well, I mean, I enjoyed having the Paralympic guys on and going to Brazil. Actually, that was pretty cool.
Yeah. No doubt.
So that wasn't part of the show, but it was as a direct result of it.
Right.
Yeah, talking to accessibility heroes of mine, hearing stories, and also, yeah, most thrilling is really actually seeing the connections happening in real time and stuff coming out of it, good stuff, real stuff happening. That for me is more exciting than the buzz of actually sort of going, oh, I've scored a great guest. It's
right.
Actually, we've had a great outcome.
Right.
This has happened.
I mean, I imagine in a lot of ways, the Twitter chat must be sort of the highlight for that, because you're able to watch, say, a company interact with the community that they're trying to serve. And that can be pretty exciting, I can imagine. Yeah,
and it really is. I mean, a good example was Fujitsu came on and they did the chat. The head of their disability network came on and did the chat, and then they brought some of the people from their disability network onto Twitter as well, and that chat went on till midnight. We were all just like bouncing off each other, and that was really, they really engaged on that, and I think that was the night we had 9,000 tweets.
Wow.
And really what you could see was people really understand, really beginning to understand the power of social networks for the first time live during the chat. They got an internal network, but it was like, okay, but all this other stuff is happening, and I'm getting all of these ideas, and it's so. Then often we get the guests come back. So for me, what's gratifying, and I know for Deborah Antonio too, is actually when we've had people on the chat, and then they become regular people contributing on the Twitter chat.
Right.
And we particularly see that with people like Fujitsu and especially Barclays. Barclays Bank have done a fantastic job. They've got a great accessibility team, but they're also really, really engaged, and they're there every week. And now what you see is they're running sort of community outreach within their branches and stuff like that. So people from the branches are going, oh, there's this accessibility. They're joining in the chat as well. So it's helping us in that we've got people joining the chat, but it's also helping them.
Right.
So what we're doing here is mutually beneficial. We're helping them make connections. They're connecting internally and also with their customers. So it's really interesting to watch, and it's fun.
My experience with Twitter is quite different because I spend most of my time arguing on it. Have you ever had a guest get savaged by Twitter?
Yeah, we've had some experiences where we've had to change the topic because the guests just felt unsafe.
Oh wow. Yeah, I guess that can be the downside.
That was where there was a particular community that disagreed with the viewpoint of the guests, and the trolling got significant really, really quickly, and it ramped up. So that was something that was unpleasant, but that you have to deal with from time to time. But yeah, it's not that often. Actually, I think if you accentuate the positive,
sure,
then the positives massively outweigh the negatives. And I try not to argue. So I try and abstain from Twitter once I've been drinking.
That's probably my number one problem. Because that's when I go on Twitter.
Yeah, that's never good. And also, whilst I may have a potty mouth in real life, I think I've sworn once in 79,000 tweets because it's public facing.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
It's all right to have a cuss now and again between friends, but
take notes, Steve.
Everyone's reading you.
Well, let's talk a little bit about the assistive technology community and field a little bit. And have you noticed any changes in the last few years? Because I know for us, I mean, it really feels like people are really realizing the power of social networks and that they can have a voice. And so I think our impression is that it's really gaining a little bit of traction over the past few years.
I think there's a number of things happening that are quite gratifying. What you're seeing is the consumerization of certain elements of assistive tech that are just being absorbed and integrated into mainstream products, which is just how it ought to be.
Right.
And so you're seeing like voiceover and text-to-speech in iOS. You're seeing the mainstream captioning happening a lot on sort of IPTV. You're also seeing efforts using deep learning and neural networks and AI to be able to deal with the really thorny problem of the proliferation of user-generated content, right, which is growing exponentially. So, you know, if you're a screen reader user and you want to know what an image is, you're reliant on alternative text. Well, the reality is if someone's drunk at a party and they're posting up pictures on Twitter of their mates, they're hardly likely to be putting in the alt text or on Facebook or whatever. Right. So these organizations are using AI to be able to do image recognition and start tagging this automatically. Like with the captioning on YouTube, the automatic captions, they're not perfect yet, and in fact, a lot of captioning advocates are still fairly anti them.
Right.
I say persevere, because they're making an effort, and the more they do it, the better it gets, and that's how it works with this kind of computerized learning. And it's the only way we can deal with the scale, because the problem is running away from human intervention.
Right.
So we need to be able to support these kind of efforts. So I think there's some quite exciting stuff going on. And if you look at the Internet of Things and the potential for smart cities, there's an enormous potential for inclusion. Right. Now we have to get in there quick, because what usually happens is that people decide on the frameworks and everything else, and if we haven't talked to them or haven't got our feet under the table, then that potential is not realized.
Right.
But I think there's huge potential for using sensors and so on to help people navigate, to give us information that we need if we happen to be have cognitive disabilities, etc. And augmented reality will make people's lives very, very different and has real potential. So yeah, I'm not expecting everyone to be wandering around with Google Glass, but there will be layers of information surrounding you, and that might be conveyed to you through all sorts of different means. That might be through haptics, it might be through the feedback on your watch, or it might be through, signals in your smart clothing, all sorts of things that are really on the cusp right now that could have profound impacts on how we absorb information and also communicate it back, that can benefit us and help not just the disability community, but the wider community as well.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, and I think that's the real importance of continuing to have the conversation about the idea of universal design, because at the end of the day, it really just benefits everybody.
And what I tend to tell colleagues is that actually what you've got in the disability community is the best bunch of most patient and rigorous beta testers you could ever wish for.
Very true. Very true.
Feed them your bleeding edge tech. They'll find the faults with it and uses that you never dreamt of.
That's right.
So it's a win-win. So absolutely, you need to engage early.
When is AXSChat, and how can people find you guys?
You can find AXSChat at www.axschat.com, and you can find us on Twitter at AXSChat, and you can obviously use the hashtag as well. On the website, you'll find all of the videos. You'll find information on how to participate, and you can also obviously follow the individuals that are engaged, because it's not just us; it's the wider community. Get in there, get engaged, have the conversations, have fun, and learn something.
Neil, thanks so much for joining us today. We really appreciate it, and it was really, really great to talk to you.
All right, thank you.
Okay, Neil, we'll let you go, and take care and have a good day, or good evening, I guess. Okay.
Thanks again.
Bye-bye.
Take care.
9,000 tweets.
Yeah.
100,000 followers.
Yep.
We've got 220.
Well, listen, we're just... well,
I
listen,
quit.
No, don't get... What are you talking about? This is exciting. This is where we could go. We could be in Sweden next year.
Yeah, don't quit. Look at the potential.
All right, so we need to do a live show with a live tweet interaction.
But I mean, you know, keep in mind that, you know, his two co-hosts, like he said, you know, they already had 100,000 followers each. You had 3.
Mm-hmm.
So...
Well, I mean, we could potentially pull in Twitter as more of our podcast.
Well, yeah,
I mean, we generally post up the podcast around the same time every day.
We do.
So we could make that more rigorous. Say, okay, the podcast goes up at boink this time, and we will be monitoring Twitter and
yeah. I mean, it's not a bad idea. We never even really conceived of the idea of a Twitter chat. I mean, Ryan, you've been talking about the idea of a live show where people could interact with us. But you know, this is something that we could actually look into doing on a weekly basis. And it's, you know, we're all near our mobile phones, you know, Friday mornings. So it's an idea. I mean, it's a nice way to engage the community, and, you know, especially for them, because they were looking to build a community.
Yeah, and I think that's what I like most about his format, is that he has built a community. He's facilitating these interactions between big companies and accessibility and
the community.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
Yeah, it really is. And I mean, that's why, you know, again, I was really excited to talk to him, because, you know, there's a kind of a bit of an accessibility rock star. It's like the Keith Richards of, well, maybe not Keith Richards. Maybe that's a bad, Keith Richards has his own set of disabilities. But no, that was pretty interesting. It's pretty impressive, the guests that they've had.
Yep.
So I didn't realize that it was such a wide variety of different types of guests. My impression early on was that they mainly talked to companies, but we should have really asked them about how they pick topics, or how they go about sort of choosing
what they're doing each week,
what they're doing for guests. But
I didn't even know that Fujitsu had an accessibility division.
Right? Yeah.
No idea.
Well, there's probably tons of companies that, you know, that do. One of our guests that we're going to have, this blind triathlete guy, he used Google Glass to do the Boston Marathon.
Wow.
He actually works for IBM, and, you know, they have an accessibility department that he works for. And I'm sure a lot of big companies do. We just don't hear about them.
Yeah.
Hey, Ryan.
Rob.
How can people find us?
On the tweets. Oh, no, it was the Tweety. That's what you called it, Tweety.
Yeah.
They can find us on Tweety.
Very funny.
We're twits.
Where can people find us?
Online at www.atbanter.com.
That is correct. And they can also email us, if they are so inclined, at atbanterpodcast@gmail.com.
Woohoo!
And, you know, we're also available on Twitter, on Facebook, Instagram. That's the one. I was going to Pinterest immediately. No Pinterest. Instagram.
All right. Well, what do you think, boys? Are we done?
I think we're done.
We're done.
Thanks again, everybody, for listening in. That'll do it for this week. I've been Rob Minot.
And I've been Grumpy Bear.
And I've been a happy camper.
And we will see you all next week.
This podcast has been brought to you by Canadian Assistive Technology, providing low vision and blindness solutions across Canada. Find us online at www.canassTech.com. That's CANASSTECH.com. Or call us toll free at 1-844-795-8324. For all your assistive technology servicing needs, call Chaos Technical Services at 778-847-6840 or find them online at chaostechnicalservices.com. Music provided by bensound.com.